Good morning, Pierre Moran. This is Mr. McLean with your very first advisory math video focused on the order of operations. Now, I'm told I have a face for radio, so I'm going to try to keep it out of the camera as much as possible. You're welcome. The first subject that we're going to talk about this week is the order of operations. The order of operations is a set of rules that we use to simplify expressions. Now, math doesn't read like English. It doesn't just read left to right. So we have to have a set of rules to tell us what to simplify first when we have a long expression. Now, you've probably already learned the order of operations in previous grades using an acronym. An acronym is like a word or sound where each letter represents another word. The one that you're probably used to is called Pemdas, where the P stands for parentheses, the E stands for exponents, the M stands for multiplication, the D is for division, A for addition, and S for subtraction. Now, PEMDAS is perfectly fine. It's easy to remember because you use please, excuse, my, dear, and Sally, except for it's got a couple of problems. Parentheses are not the only grouping symbols that have to be done first. Exponents are not the only powers that have to be done next. Multiplication and division have to be done at the same time, left to right, and addition and subtraction have to be done at the same time, left to right. If you don't take care to do all that, you're not going to remember how to simplify things in the correct order. And if my Facebook feed is any indication, a lot of people who put expressions up really can't do the order of operations very well. So we're going to fix that today. And we have a different way here at Pierre Moran of doing just that. As I was saying, here at Pierre Moran, we have a different way of simplifying using the order of operations, and the acronym that we use is called GEMS. GEMS like the rare precious stones. It simplifies things somewhat, but it's also more descriptive of what you actually have to do. Now, the G replaces the P for parentheses because G stands for grouping symbols. Now, grouping symbols are not just parentheses, as you're about to see. There are a good many more grouping symbols that you have to consider. For example, you have your parentheses as normal, but you also have brackets which surround parentheses when you need to use more than one set. You can also have the absolute value sign. If I have, for example, the absolute value of 2 minus 3, I have to do what's inside it before I take the absolute value. And finally, I have fraction bars. If I have 3 plus 2 over 5 minus 4, I have to simplify both the top and the bottom, the numerator and denominator, before I take action using the fraction bar. So, grouping symbols have a whole lot more examples than simply parentheses, so PEMDAS is kind of lacking in that department. The second thing is we have to resolve anything with exponents. Now, what most people don't consider is that not only are there exponents, but you also have roots. And my friend here can talk about that for a second. Dude, that is so totally right. We have to consider the square root when we do these things. Thank you, Radical. So we not only have to have exponents, like when we have 3 to the second power, but we can also have, for example, the square root of 9, hence the radical sign. That counts the same as an exponent when we're talking about the order of operations. The third thing that we have to resolve is multiplication and division. And I'm going to write it on the same line, multiplication and division, because they're done at the same time. In fact, when you do them, they're done left to right. If multiplication is written for division, then you're going to do it first. But if division appears before multiplication, you're going to take care of the division first. This is very important. That's why they're the same authority, and they're on the same line in this order of operations. The final one is sums. We're basically going to put addition and subtraction in the same place at the same time. So I'll make note of that right here. Sums include both addition and subtraction. They are of the same authority as well. So if you encounter sums with pluses first, you're going to do that. If you encounter subtraction first before addition, you're going to do that first. So once again, the directions are they're done left to right. All right, we're going to start off here with an expression that has a little bit of everything. You have parentheses, you have exponent, You have subtraction, division, addition, multiplication. And by the way, here in middle school, we like to use the raised dot for multiplication or numbers next to parentheses because the X symbol can be confused for a variable. So this raised dot, just so you know, means multiplication. All right, here we go. As we're using GEMS, I'm going to write the acronym over here on the side, GEMS. And as I do each step, I'm going to underline the step that I'm on so you don't get lost. And when I finish resolving all the things in that letter, I'm going to put a check mark next to it so that I can remember that I've done everything. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is grouping symbols. The grouping symbols here are these parentheses, so I'm going to underline the 7 minus 5 in parentheses as I'm doing my grouping symbols, and that's what I'm going to resolve first. What is 7 minus 5? It's, of course, 2. Now, this is where it's going to seem like a pain. I'm going to write the entire rest of the problem all over again, completely around the thing I just did. And the reason being, I don't want to get lost. I want to take it one step at a time so that if I make a mistake, I can go back and find it and not have to do the problem completely over again. And also, it makes it easier for someone else to look at to tell it what it is that you've done, and possibly also what you haven't done. So, have I accomplished everything I can do with grouping symbols? I don't see any more here, so I'm going to put a check next to it to indicate that I've done it all. So, what's next? E stands for exponents. I'm going to look for exponents and roots. I don't see any square root signs. I do see an exponent though, so I'm going to underline 3 squared. Now, be careful about this. A lot of people take a look at 3 squared and they think it's 6, and that is not so. 3 squared means 2 factors of 3, not 2 addends where you add them together. It means 2 factors of 3, so it means 3 times 3. 3 times 3, of course, is 9. So you have to be careful about exponents. 9 minus 4 divided by 2. Once again, writing everything down around it. And it looks like I've taken care of all my exponents, so I'm going to check off the E. The next thing I have to handle is multiplication and division. Now remember, they have like the same authority in the Army or the military, so we have to handle them from left to right. Whichever one we encounter first is the one we do first. So I'm looking at this. I have subtraction, division, addition, and multiplication. I have both division and multiplication, but the one I encounter first, reading left to right, is this one. So I'm going to underline 4 divided by 2 first. So I have 4 divided by 2, which is 2. So I have 9 minus 2, rewriting everything, plus 3 times 2. Remember, the raised dot means multiplication. Now that I have it down to subtraction, addition, and multiplication, I'm going to do my multiplication. I'm still on this step. I'm going to do my multiplication first. 3 times 2 is 6. So now I rewrite everything, 9 minus 2 plus 6. And now I see that all I'm left with is subtraction and addition. So now that I'm done with my multiplication, I put a check mark next to it. And now I'm down to my sums. Underline the S, and here we go. Which one do I do first? Subtraction or addition? Since I encounter the subtraction on the left first, that's the one I do first. 9 minus 2 is 7. And I write 7 plus 6. Finally, I only have this one more step to go. 7 plus 6 is 13. And with that lucky number, we're done with our sums, we're done with our GEMS, and we have simplified this entire expression down to its value of 13. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And now I'm sure your teachers will have something for you to do to practice. Until next time.